Welcome to another episode of Into the Foxhole. I'm your host, Jeff Fox. My guest today is Chris Barrows. As frontman and one half of the songwriting engine of the early punk rock band Pink Lincolns, Chris influenced a generation and beyond of young music lovers and musicians. I was one of those people. Chris, who was once referenced as the, quote, anti-punk by a fanzine, will of course not own being as influential as bands like Bad Brains, Minor Threat, Black Flag, and countless others. But I argue that he and Dorsey Martin's brand of unapologetic punk rock music, which gave the middle finger with a grin to nearly every convention we know while also remaining witty and flippant, influenced just as many people. Pink Lincolns, releasing its first full-length album in 1987, belongs amongst those iconic bands that shaped the music to come. Among other feats, the Pink Lincolns helped shine a light on the Tampa Bay area music scene on a national level that lasted for decades. I have personally been a fan of the band for 25 years, first seeing them in a long-gone Tampa music venue called the Stone Lounge, and immediately being hooked by not only the showmanship of Chris Barrows, who regularly performed raucous antics on stage, but also by the music. Here is one of Barrows' most quintessential songs, I've Got My Tie On, from the 1987 release Back from the Pink Room.
I'm a cog in a wheel in a lubricated world, and I want to marry an office girl. I've got my tie on. I've set my watch, I've set my goals. When I get old, I want to be fat. I've got my tie on. It's a string around my finger, it's that noose around my neck. I'll go to drastic lengths to prove I'm not a derelict. I've got my tie, so I'll be sure to hold my head up high. I can't forget why.
Chris has a book coming out on June 9th, which you can pre-order right now. It's called Cheap Shots, a photographic look at underground bands from the 1980s and beyond. Chris Barrows, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. So, how does it feel to finally have the book published?
It's surreal. It's really weird. This is the third publisher, basically. Like the first one was John Jughead from Screeching Weasel. He put a few books out of his own, and he put a couple books of Ben's out, and then he was going to put mine out. And then there was a second publisher person that was interested, but it turned out to be basically a scam. Like if I need to go shopping for the paper and for the quality and the mill for the cover and all this stuff, and then send me the boxes and I'll get it made into books and you might be able to make a little bit of money. It's that kind of thing. So it's like, no, thank you. Fuck you, goodbye. So then this just basically fell into my lap just on Facebook, and met somebody that was a publisher, and I'm like, hey, would you be interested in looking at my stuff? And he said, yes, I would be. And I was like, holy fuck, this is too easy. It's nothing this smooth happens to me. It's just it was a fluke. It was just, he sent me a friend request. I looked into it, and it's like, what? He works for Rare Bird Lit, and it's like, wow, shit. And then I clicked on a couple more things, and there's a picture of him leaning over the desk trying to look like a badass, and it says, I am the CEO. And it's like, what the fuck? This is, I thought somebody was playing a game, playing a jokey joke with me or something. And I checked on him, and he was legit, So,
were you familiar with Rare Bird at that point?
Yeah, we bought books from him before, and I think even previous to Rare Bird, he had he was with somebody else, and I bought books from them too. So, and then he went his own way. I think he got bought out or something like that. And he's like a musician from the 80s, so he knows,
Yeah, what was his band called? The Scooby Don'ts?
Scooby Don't. And he was in another band I can't remember the name of offhand. But he's a great guy, just a fucking awesome person. And his company is extremely top notch. I mean, I just thought I was going to get a book, and this is like, holy fuck. Everything about it is just crazy to the top level, Even the binding is unbelievable. Everything they did to tweak it just looked grade. I'm kind of dumbfounded and speechless about it. It turned out like way better than I thought. Because like really nice shit like this, it doesn't usually happen to me very often, but this was like, holy fuck, just fell in my lap kind of.
What do
But
you think was different from like releasing a record with a label to publishing a book?
it's probably the same difference, really.
How many years did you work on just the publishing part, like looking for a publisher?
I think around 17 years, because it was when we got this house, and that was when Jughead came down from his band played down here. And so they hung out for a night and stuff like that. So it was probably around 17 years or so. I was just really dismal about it, for the last few years. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, I'm never gonna get this shit out, But long story short, it happened. So
Yeah. I know a book is like a very big undertaking. How long did it take from start to finish? Like from the moment you had the idea?
the first splat that I did, there wasn't much to it. And
Yeah.
then that didn't happen anyway. So then I started. It picked up toward the end when I found out that yes, it was going to happen.
Hmm.
I started scanning my ass off, and I had to do 1200 DPI to get a really good tight
Yeah.
photo out of it, because a lot of these are just old fucking grainy pictures, and you
Oh, they're
run
great.
through the shit and it just comes out like amazing. It's like you can see things in the background that you never saw before, stuff like that. I mean, it just cleaned it up really good.
So you said 17 years you've been trying to get published.
Give or take, yes,
Were
right
you
around
working
that
on the
number. Yeah.
book before that?
Yeah, and see, there were different. I had it started and it was pretty small, and then I went at it again, and I expounded on a little bit more after I got some more photos, and then I thought I had it, laid out good. I had 190 page worth of pictures, and so he goes, "No, I'll give you 150 pages." I said, "Okay." No argument, just as long as
Yeah.
it gets out. And so it turns out that in the end, with this book, the Cheap Shots book, he gave me 199 pages. So it turned out good. I mean, the shit
Nice.
looks really nice. I mean, it's just really nice. Um, and it was like an albatross I was dragging behind me for all these fucking years. And it's like, I even whined to my wife about, I'm going to die one day. I'll never know what it's like to flip through my book, and it's like, and then I felt really fucking stupid for even saying that or thinking it. But I
Yeah.
remember saying that to her, just being so fucking frustrated, not being able to get it out. And then this guy comes along and it's like, I'll put your book out for you. It's like, okay,
Great.
well, I
Did
hope it works.
did you have to like become a writer too for this? Did you write little blurbs?
Okay. He asked me, do you have an introduction written for it?
Yeah.
That was one of his first questions. I said, yes, I do. And he said, could you send it to me? I said, yes. And I thought, oh, fuck, he's not going to get it. I got a fucked up sense of humor. He's not going to get it. He's going to think I'm lowbrow as shit. And so I went ahead and sent it to him. And he wrote right back and he said, not only is this a really good blah, 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 but what he said was, it's fucking awesome. It's perfect, he said. And right then I
Cool.
was like, I just exhaled right then. It's like, okay, cool. He gets it, and like I said, he's a musician. He knows all that shit, so it's not like this foreign weirdo guy that I'm dealing with. It's just this guy that's extremely knowledgeable about what he does. And he just wanted to make sure that, we're both kind of on the same page or whatever. I'm pinching myself every fucking day about this shit still. And then the printer guy sent the publisher 2 advanced copies of the book. And publisher dude got a hold of me and he's like, hey, I got 2 of these. Do you want one of them? And I'm like, yeah, so I've been flipping through it ever since I got it. And it's like, it's just so surreal to me. It's,
Yeah.
it
Bet,
happened,
man.
and it is just strange as fuck. It's a weird feeling. It's like having some weird baby or something. Just I don't know. It would probably be something like that, but it's uh it's really cool. And then even just how okay, I was talking to him after that, and mentioned something about I think I even have enough for another book.
Yeah.
And then I didn't mean to say that because I thought, well, I should say that to him. But then if I do, he's all business, and he'll say
Yeah.
something like, hey, let's not start competing with book number 2 on book number 1. Let's get this book number 1 out first, And um, I thought he was going to say something like that. And
Yeah. While chomping a cigar.
yeah, but everything just went into place perfectly. I mean,
Cool.
just this book is awesome. I mean, I feel like an asshole for saying that because it's mine, but it's like it freaks me out. Just I know all that camera dragging around that I did, and I know that, and I was drunk
Yeah.
most of the time and shit like that. But it's like just on hindsight, looking back on all this shit that's in this book, it's like fuck, this is just nutso.
Well, I really
There's some cool
liked
shit in it. There's some scary shit. There's some, some just dumb shit in it. But there's some really good photos.
I really liked I was reading a blurb on it might have been the one on Target by Henry Rollins, and he was saying that basically at a time when no one else felt the need to document what was going on, there you were with a camera going backstage and shooting the stuff that other people didn't really care to photograph.
Henry gave me a really nice blurb. He who cannot be named did. Rick Agnew gave me a really nice one. Tesco V, funny as shit. And then Adam Fowler, the drummer from Jawbreaker. They all gave me fucking really nice blurbs. It's like I'm humbled by all this shit. It's like fuck.
You
And it was
deserve it, man.
well, see, the publisher's like, okay, you got to get some blurbs for the book. I'm like, okay, I know a lot of musicians, and so I started like, I had to do that. I had to find the people to do blurbs for me. So it's like, okay, no problem. So I'd ask somebody like Rick Agnew, and he's like, yeah, I'll do it. He jumped in first, and then the more people that I was asking, it's like, no. I mean, like good friends, I'm like,
Yeah.
could you do it for me? No. You don't want to? No, I'd just rather not. Okay, no problem. Move on. At least I know I asked him. But that happened a few times. People I really thought would. It was kind of frustrating toward the end. It was like walking through mud and just getting more and more stuck. It's like
Yeah.
just this blurb begging is going nowhere. It's dead ending itself.
Blurb
It's like,
handling.
I ran out of people to hassle, and toward the end, it's like boom, boom, a couple more people put them in. It's like fucking perfect. That was awesome. It was muchly needed.
Yeah.
But it's just weird going around and begging people to do night. Can you write something really, really nice about me so I could wave it around in public? It's like that's kind of awkward for me to ask people. But it's like I had to do that if I wanted to get this book out. So
I mean, at least from a from a fellow artist standpoint, I feel like I can relate to, and I don't know if you feel this way about making music, but sometimes with trying to release a record, like going through that period where you're like, is this even going to happen? And
right,
then you come out on the other end.
And you're just happy as fuck about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that weight lifted and that sigh of relief going, all right, it's done. What's next?
Yeah. Yeah. Because when I was doing this book thing, at the same time I was trying to do those paintings for the He Who Cannot Be Named video.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, I do a little bit of the painting stuff, and then I do a little bit of the book stuff to catch up with that. And both of them, the book had a deadline type thing to it, but the painting didn't. But I ran a lot longer than I thought I would on the painting, so it took a long time. So I was starting to get a lot of
pressure.
Yes, and frustration at not being able to get both things done. So I finally got the painting shit done, sent that off to him, and then got 90% of the book stuff done. I was almost ready to send that off, and then both things kind of cleared up at the same time. And that it was like just walking around, not being able to poop for a long time and finally take a big poop. It was just a sigh of relief. It's like, God damn, it's done. It's fucking done, and it's behind me now. So,
months of constipation.
Yeah, it's weird. This was a lot of different emotions going up and down this whole book thing. I mean, even from the previous publishers into this, and I kind of didn't trust it, because I wanted to trust it, but it's like, fuck, same shit's gonna happen again, and it didn't. It happened in a really, really fucking awesome way.
So I wanted to ask you some stuff about the book. Which photo from your book has probably the most popular story behind it? I know that's kind of subjective.
What do you mean by popular?
What I mean is like how people would respond. Like, I know from knowing you personally, I've heard like a bunch of stories of just being in the punk rock scene. So I guess I was wondering if there's like one particular thing that people gravitate towards and go, oh man, tell them this story.
Bob Cern was pretty excited about something about I played basketball with Bad Brains on their first tour. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And it's like, cool. Well, he had it kind of right, but not really right. And what it was I went and saw them on their first tour. They played Miss Lucky Club. There was like 5 people in there. Nobody knew who they were. I didn't know who they were. I was like, holy shit, these fucking guys are great, man. I mean, I'd never seen anything like that before. And so then we saw them in Clearwater, National Guard Armory. And they were shooting basketball after the show. And so I was just standing there watching them basically. And if the basketball came over to me, I'd just like throw it back to them. So we weren't really playing. I wasn't playing basketball with them. I was just in the
You were the ball
auditorium.
Boy.
I was in the auditorium while they were playing basketball.
Okay.
But I got a really cool shot from it. Let me see. Got Iggy Pop doing a back bend. I just got there's a bunch of shit. GG Allin sitting on the toilet.
So 2 different questions here. You met GG Allin. I know you knew him somewhat. You exchanged some letters with him.
Yeah, we were like pen pals early on.
How did that relationship develop?
It was weird. We wrote letters back and forth and stuff like that. And he sent me cassettes, and he sent me this one cassette, and I put it on and listened to it. And it's like, the first song on it was just fucking amazing. It's like, that, what is it, Hank Williams? Maybe I Like to Have Women I've Never Had. What song? Who did that?
Hank Williams, Junior?
Yeah, possibly.
I don't honestly
But anyway,
know.
he did that. It was using a little bit of more profane vernacular in it. But the song ripped. I mean, it had passion, and it was just fucking raw. It's like, holy shit, this is awesome. And it goes straight from that into like poo poo pee pee, and it's like, okay, I had to listen to it a few times, but it's like his songs that he was really trying to do music on, he's got some really good stuff, Yeah. And some of his stuff's just kind of corny, but it's like me, I've got some good stuff and I've got some really crappy stuff too at the same time. So nobody bats 1,000 all the time.
Right.
But okay, when I went and saw him, I'm like, hey, and he's like, hey. I'm like, I'm Chris. And he goes, oh, you're Chris Barrows. It's like we talked for a while, and it's like, this is weird as shit, And then I saw him in Orlando too, and that was a crazy show. We talked a little bit before the show, and then that was one of the craziest shows I have ever been to, because it was extremely bloody, and I was standing in the room. And all of a sudden, there's a cop on the right of me and a cop on the left of me, and they're huge. They're big fucking Orlando cops. It's a black guy and a white guy. And they got their big-ass mag lights that they used to beat people with. They got them propped up on their shoulders. And they're just scanning the light around like, what the fuck is going on here? And the black guy shined his light against the wall to his right. And it looked like a comet. It was this big, long shit smear on the wall with a turd stuck at the end of it. And when he saw that, he started beating his fucking friend, like, hey, 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 hey. And they both put their cameras on it. And that was when they get their little walkie-talkies on their shoulder and start, hey, we need some help here, and a shitload of cops came into that place. I mean, a shitload. And so after, okay, uh, they came in, they called for more people, and they took GG and Dino and Marl into the back room. And it was this long hallway leading to the back room. And so Dino used to say this thing about I'm free and legal and that I could make myself invisible. He's like a little crazy, but he has his thing. And so they're in the back room. I go back in the back room. There's all these cops lining the thin hallway going into the back room. So I'm like, fuck this, I gotta go back there. I got my camera. I'm going back there. Nobody's saying you can't go in there. So I walk in there and they're talking. And by then there's a few more cops inside that little tiny room. So I took a picture. Like, I didn't hold the camera up. I just like, boom. And when they saw the flash, they all kind of reacted. They're all looking around the room. They put their hands on their guns and shit.
Whoa.
And I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. Maybe I just should not be here, And so I'm like, yeah, fuck, this is a weird situation. So I just went ahead and eased out of the room, squeezed past the cops. I got in the little tiny hallway. That was when I realized that it was lined on both sides with cops.
Damn.
And so I'm squeezing through there. They're like, hey, I'm just moving through there. They're just looking at me, letting me go. And Dino was coming behind, and he was naked. And he walked past all these fucking cops. He walked into the main room where the show was going on, and he walked out the front door right when a cop was walking in the door. And he goes, hey. I mean, all these cops, it's like he walked past everybody naked and they didn't see him. It was like he was invisible. So it's like, maybe he can make himself invisible.
Yeah.
But that was a crazy show. That was nuts.
That made me think of some movie I can't recall where this guy said he could change invisible and he would take all his clothes off. I wonder if that was based on him.
It could be. There was another thing too. Supposedly he was playing in Sarasota at this storefront bar. They had big glass windows and going into the parking lot. And Dino's right there up on the little podium or whatever, and he's playing drums, and he's naked. And a sheriff happens to be driving down the street, and he just happened to look over and see this naked drummer inside this big glass window.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck? So he goes in there, and they talk for a while, and Dino's putting his hands up, doing this and that, and then the cop just gets in his car and leaves. And then they keep doing the show.
He just came to have a closer look and then left.
Yeah, like, what the fuck's going on? Hey, boy, you can't do that in here, or whatever,
Wow, man. That was a great story. So I also wanted to ask you, how did you get to know Iggy Pop? Was that from the Stooges days or shortly after those days? No, I never really, we never met or anything like that. What it was he put out an album, and it said something about, if you write me, I will write you back, or something like that. So I went ahead and wrote him, and I said, hey, here's a couple albums, just so that you could, I want to know if you could do an album cover for me. But here's a couple albums just so that you know what kind of shit I do. And so I didn't think it would go anywhere. So he wrote me this nice little letter back, and he sent me a photograph of himself, like kind of holding his arms in front of himself, but he drew a thumbs up on one of the arms. It said, hey, Chris, a nice promo picture and shit. Yeah.
And he drew the picture for me that was on Suck and Bloat.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't think that he would do that. I didn't think he'd give a shit. I wrote him, and I expected nothing to happen, because it's like it's a promotional thing. There's going to be a lot of people writing him, wanting letters from him.
Yeah.
And he actually did. He gave me a fucking album cover. I didn't expect it, and he did it. It's like, holy shit. Cool.
Yeah. Did you feel kind of
shocked? We never met, but I'm eternally grateful for that, because he's a cool guy. I listened to him when I was very young. I got Raw Power when it came out. I stole 8-track tape from a Woolworths in Kansas, and then listened to that. I'm like, holy shit! And then I just started buying his shit after that. That was when I had like hair down to my back.
Wow, I feel like maybe I've seen pictures of you with long hair, but I don't know about that long.
When I was in my late teens, it was like really long. Everybody was a hippie back then, though. So
Dang, man. You might have to put a picture of that in your next book. Did any early days Pink Lincoln's pictures make it into this book?
no, I'm not putting any pictures of me or my bands in there. It's just about other bands.
Okay. I was just wondering because from my perspective, Pink Lincoln's definitely fall into the web of influence to me of like early punk. I mean, you guys released your first record in like '86, right?
Something like that, yeah.
That's still pretty early as far as the punk rock scene's concerned, and I just
Well,
know that
punk rock
people.
was happening in the '70s too, though.
Oh, I know.
I mean, we weren't like the front runners or anything like that. We probably came in at a nice time when it was like nice and comfortable to do punk rock. Actually,
I don't know, man. I
the
think that's the same year that people like Madonna and the Beastie Boys were topping the Billboard charts. So it's still kind of. But you guys had a unique thing because I always kind of thought of it as like you had the raw power and the unforgiving nature of punk, but there was also like always a like a old rock and roll element to me. Like the best comparison that comes to mind is like Chuck Berry meets Black Flag,
well,
kind
I
of.
always when people say punk rock, I always say it's more of a rock band. It's rock based. It's not really
Yeah,
punk based. It's more rock based. And I mean, like whatever, it's somewhere between punk and rock or whatever. But it doesn't matter to me what people classify it as or what people think of it as. It's just the noises that I like to make, basically. So, we did all kinds of shit. And Dorsey would get on my shit because you're getting too goddamn generic hardcore. And I'd get on his shit about you're being too goddamn generic frilly in spots. But what we did, we just kind of combined what he liked and what I liked, and we just tried to aim it in the same direction. And it kind of worked.
Oh yeah.
We did some really neat shit. We did different kinds of stuff here and there. So, Dorsey was the secret weapon the whole time in the Lincolns. And that's easy to say because he just, he wanted to do it his way. Like he had his own way of doing things. And in a way it was frustrating, but in a way it's like, okay, he made it work.
Yeah.
Like he would describe his guitar leads as I want them to sound like two birds fighting. And when I listen to this shit, it's like I can hear exactly what he's talking about in certain songs where he's like, blah, 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 doing the
Yeah.
fucking going crazy. And
Yeah, a lot of that
he was
tremolo
his own
picking.
guy. Yeah, just the fast arm strumming and shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's amazing. He's frustrating and amazing, and I frustrated the fuck out of him too. But it was for the music. It was all about the music.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Dorsey.
Yeah, and Paul and Paul Morose too. Paul Johnson died like just 5 months after Dorsey, I think.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yep, we're all getting old, falling apart.
Well,
It's
I can relate to you a little bit on that after turning 40 this year. You're like, why does that hurt? And I can't move as well as I did.
I'm still doing okay because I'm still doing landscaping, and I quit eating fast food and fucking bullshit. And,
Yeah.
Just I drink water all day long. But I'm healthy as fuck. I'm 62. I have abs. It's stupid as fuck. I never thought that I would live this long. I never thought.
Yeah, you haven't developed a spare tire yet. What's up with that?
I've had it before, back when I used to drink like a lot more than I do now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the beer will do it.
yeah.
And I know Henry Rollins wrote that blurb for you. Did you meet him back in the Black Flag days?
Yeah, yeah. I've known him since like '84, and he takes a lot of shit from people. You know, a lot of people like rag on him and stuff, but it's like I got respect for him. I mean, that was a hard job to jump into, being the front guy in Black Flag when they were at their peak. You know,
Yeah.
he took a lot of shit from the crowd. He took a lot of shit from Greg. You know, there's always a little bit of friction in bands and stuff, but it
Yeah.
seemed like that one might have been a little bit overboard.
Didn't he end up getting in some fist fights with a couple crowd members?
Henry?
Yeah. Or am I making
Yeah.
stuff up?
No, I've seen a video of it where somebody's like punching him in the leg, so he like punches him a few times. The first time I saw Black Flag, I got into a little thing. Actually, I was right up front to take pictures. My camera just got trashed, you know, on the first song, and but I'm still right up front, and so it's a small place, and it was packed with too many people, and all the people in the back were pushing forward. So I'm leaning across this little tiny barricade thing, and I'm like right up into Greg's guitar, and he keeps going, back off. I'm like, I can't, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm holding my arms against his chest so he could keep playing, so I'm not up against his strings, and he keeps yelling, back off. I'm like, I can't, and he punches me in the head. I'm thinking,
Jeez.
you fuck, dude, really? So I punched him back, and he went nuts, and I had my arms on his chest, and he was trying to swing at me, and so I just like gave him the fucking claw, the eagle claw. I just fucking grabbed his fucking chest and just grabbed my fingers right into it.
Oh.
And I could hear him screaming over the music, man, and he fucking started hammering me hard.
He was screaming louder than Rollins.
I could hear him. Yeah, I could hear him fucking screaming. But it's like, yeah, we heard each other pretty good, I think. But you know, it's like that would be a crazy situation to be in, playing to a bunch of fucking people that are drunk and too excited, and you know. But I wasn't, you know, I didn't start the bullshit. I was just like, dude, I'm getting pushed up against you. It's against my will. Sorry, you know. Yeah, that was the first time I saw Black Flag, and then the Cuban Club times, shit happened a couple times. There was one time that they played that nothing bad happened, because what was the deal? The sound went out while they were playing. And what it was they sent one of their Rudy guys out to find the main and plug it back in. And what it was, the skinheads from Orlando were there. And so they unplugged that. It was like a trap, you know. They unplugged it. The guy came out to fix it, and they beat the shit out of him. It was a really bad night. There's one photo in the book, and it's like the end of the show, after the show, and it's just Greg and Henry standing there. And they're just looking so fed up, so like fucking out of it and hated. Just like, I mean, you can see the emotion, you know, the look in both of their faces is just like, fuck this, you know. But that was how Tampa used to roll back then. But it wasn't actually Tampa that time. It was Orlando Skins.
Jeez. I remember being at a show at the Stone Lounge in like 95 or 96, where some skinheads ruined a good show by cutting a dude's chest open. I guess that shit was going on for well over a decade.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't really solve anything. It just, you know, I think they're all dark and, you know, that it's like, fuck you guys.
Anyways. So I know we talked a little bit about Ben Weasel wrote a foreword for the book for you. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think you said to me you thought it was perfect. Am I quoting you right?
Okay, he wrote a blurb for the second publisher when I was still with him.
Uh-huh.
And what did he say? He said, there sure are a lot of stupid, ugly-looking people in this book. And I thought that was awesome. That's straight up Ben Weasel. You know, It's a very short, little, spiteful thing to say. That's awesome. It's perfect. It's so punk rock. It's awesome. Okay, but then that publisher fell through, so I started going with Rare Bird. So then I thought, you know, Rare Bird, they do everything really nicely, you know, and it's like, okay, he'll probably accept this, but I said, would you be able to do that, but maybe fluff it up a little bit? He goes, yeah, I'll fluff it up a little bit. And went into this thing about, but I'm going to be mean, Chris. I'm going to be really mean. I said, okay, do your thing, man. And he goes, no, I'm going to be mean about it. And I said, awesome. Be as mean as fuck, dude. Give it hell. And so then he wrote that blurb about, I don't know it by heart or whatever, but it's kind of, I don't know what angle he was coming at. And it's irrelevant, but it's like, it's a nice long forward. Let me get it and read it. If you pick this book up and glance through it, presumably you're in a holding cell or a bus station bathroom and have time for many questions racing through your head, the preeminent one being why. Is in why would anybody bother taking photos of a bunch of ugly, stupid-looking people, much less collect them in book form? It might help to understand if you realize punk has always been primarily about two things. Talentless bands trying to make up for not being the Rolling Stones or the Kinks by pushing the idea that bad music is cooler than those grapes are sour anyway. And unattractive people having sex with each other trying to convince everyone else that it's hot. As silly as it might seem, plenty of money has exchanged hands on the basis of these two ideas. So if you're Chris Barrows and you've been skulking around crappy dives snapping pics for 40-odd years, at some point you might start wondering why the hell you oughtn't package them up and sell them to a bunch of people nostalgic for a time they're way too young to remember. After all, the hip surgery ain't going to pay for itself. So here it is, punk in all its shameless, miserable glory. Just be thankful it's not scratch and sniff. Ben Weasel. So it's straight up, Ben.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So I remember looking through some of your photo albums like 15 years ago. I remember seeing pictures of Fugazi.
Yeah, I got a couple in here of that.
Didn't you know Ian MacKaye from the Minor Threat days before Fugazi?
I didn't know him from Minor Threat. What was the deal? Bob White and Vern Blake and myself and somebody else, we went to DC for a vacation. And they're like, let's go see Ian MacKaye. And so they punched up the number on the house or whatever. And so we went to this house, and what was the deal? It was Ian MacKaye's mom's house. Oh, I had to use the bathroom, so it was down in the basement. And I went down there, and that was their old practice room and shit. Before we went to the mom's house, there was another house. I forget which one, but there was the magic marker scribbles on the wall.
Yeah.
And supposedly Ian MacKaye and Henry Rollins put magic markers in their butthole and they drew pictures on the wall that way. Supposedly. I just remember just looking at those scribbles on the wall and like, interesting.
Did it look like it's drawn with buttholes?
It looked like it was maybe butthole high, which gave it some legitimate probabilities. But yeah, they were just like weird, like curly Q and little lines and stuff like that. They weren't trying to do a Mona Lisa. They were just trying to rub some ink on the wall with their butts or something.
I would imagine doing the Mona Lisa with butthole marker could get kind of painful.
Especially doing her head, you have to stand way up high.
Just put me on your shoulders, man. Man, it's kind of weird to think about Minor Threat practicing in the basement at mom's house, but I guess that's bands, where they used to. Yeah, most bands start out that way.
Yeah. So start out where you could start out.
You also saw U2 on their first American tour, and you photographed them, right?
Yeah, I would go see anything back then, and it was like they had a lot of press in magazines and shit back then. Yeah. I remember that, and it's like, okay, I'll go see this band, and then they were just like jangly, and I thought it was going to be a little cooler than this, but whatever, it's not. It didn't totally suck, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And somebody said something about one of the pictures, like even just a couple months ago, and I said, yeah. And then I visualized the photograph, and it's like, okay, he was wearing these tight pants and this shirt, and then he had on a belt over his shirt, like navel high or so.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that just pissed me off the whole show. I was like, and it's like, I shouldn't be that like fucking. Why should that bother me? I don't know, but to
Yeah.
be honest, and shit, and to be totally 1,000% honest, it upset me to the point that I still remember that. And that when I was putting this book together and I pulled that photo out and there he is with the belt, I just felt this feeling of, you fucking piece of shit. I don't know why. I can't even put it into words. It's just, I just thought it was so fucking stupid, you know, and I'm carrying that around for what, 30 years now. It's like, yeah, fucking let it go, Chris, you know, but
Never.
there was just something about that was like intrinsically like bad, I thought.
Well, now I'm going to see
There's
if I
other
can find
things, and
pictures.
there are other things in life that have pissed me off a lot worse than Bono and his shirt belt. But for some reason, I still remember that.
That's one of your best quotes ever, I think. So, what was it like hanging out with Lee Ving from Fear?
He's a good guy. He, you know, we're not pals or buddies or anything, but
Yeah.
the few times that I've been around him, he's funny. He says funny shit. You know how I get my books signed? I'm fanatical. I get music books and art books and shit like that, and then I get the fucking people to sign them. And so I didn't have any Fear books, and Fear's going to be playing, you know. So I went to Haslam's and looked through books, and I found one that said Fear and Other Insecurities or something like that. That's the name of the book. It's like a psychology book. So I'd walk up to Lee Ving and I said, "Hey, could you sign my Fear book?" And he's like, "What?" And I said, "Could you sign my Fear book?" And I held up the cover and he looked at it and started laughing. And I opened it up to a page and handed him the pen. He was just cracking up. He thought it was fucking hilarious. So he signed it. "What's your name?" Chris, Lee Ving. You know, he was chuckling the whole time.
Was that the time you got the photograph on the, train tracks?
Fuck, I don't know. I've seen him a few times at a few different places. On the train tracks, that was after the Rich show. I think I got a picture of him at maybe Brass Mug and possibly maybe Clearwater, but I'd have to look at him again. But I've seen him a few times. No, they're a good band. I like them a lot. They do their own thing, you know. It's like it's almost like Appalachian punk rock, something. Yeah, it's cool stuff.
One of my favorite, all-time favorite Christmas songs by them, "Fuck Christmas."
Yeah, yeah. And that's funny talking about Lee Ving and Ian MacKaye and stuff like that, because when Lee Ving played Saturday Night Live,
That's so good.
Ian MacKaye and all those guys went up from DC and caused problems and shit while they were doing that.
Are they in the
cool that
crowd?
They did that. They were in the crowd, but then they got up on stage too, I think.
Yeah, that footage is just hilarious. It's anarchy.
Yeah, and then Saturday Night Live had a different policy after that as far as bands.
It's
But
too
that
bad
is cool.
that gets overlooked when they have like a best of Saturday Night Live performances show. Why?
Yeah, they try to erase that, and so that we run a tight show here, you know, that
Right.
probably stuck on that.
They probably don't want anyone else to get an idea from that either, huh? It's right up there with Sinead O'Connor ripping the Pope's picture, I guess.
And I don't think that was that rad. I mean, that upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
I thought it was pretty silly too. Like, so what? It's a picture. It's not like she told people to go kill the Pope or anything. So I wanted to just ask you a little bit about your music, since you're not just an author, but also a very well established musician. So how did the Chris Barrows Band come together?
I hadn't been playing for a while, I think, and then I just thought, well, fuck, I should start playing, but with who, you know? So I asked Brad. He said, yeah. I asked Bob. He said, yeah. Fuck, who was it on drums? Adam? No, Scott Brazil on drums. And we did a recording with that, and then Scott got upset with me about something. We never really talked about it. So he quit, and then we got Adam, and Adam worked. He was good for a while, good guy. And then he broke his arm on he was skateboarding, broke his arm like 2 days before a show of ours.
Oh, damn.
So then we've been using Adrian Baptiste lately. He plays with Pigpen. He plays in Dead Cat Lounge. He plays with them.
Oh, yeah.
And probably somebody else even. He gets around. He's a great guy, a good drummer. He's a ex-Navy SEAL. He knocked the snot out of those fucking drums.
Yeah, I seem to recall seeing him with Dead Cat Lounge. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's really good. I like Dead Cat Lounge when they had their other drummer because
Yeah.
he'd sit really low on a stool and you could barely see his head when he played.
Yeah.
And he was a big guy. It's just like he liked to sit low and play his drums. I'd never seen anybody really play that low before. I'm happy about weird little insequential things sometimes, like that. And sometimes I'm just pissed off if people wear their belt wrong over their shirts. So I guess I swing both ways. I could be happy and I could be upset. So
Can't we all, man? So, do you guys, Chris Barrows Band, have some new material coming out soon?
we demoed a bunch of songs. It's been over a year. It's been a couple years ago, probably. And I've written a few since then. So I'm going to want to record at some point before too long. But I'm starting on this book number 2 now. Actually, I'm looking at it on my desk right now. It's a bunch of chaos.
On book number 2?
Yeah, the publisher okayed a second book, a second like cheap shots type book.
Cool, man.
So I'm jumping on it. I'm trying to get that done as fast as possible. But it's like I got a lot of shit I'm working on at the same time. I'm at my desk a lot, plotting and planning and writing and tearing up shit.
Plotting. Yes.
But now that I'm old as shit, now that I'm just staying as busy as possible.
Yeah.
Just get shit done. It's all stupid shit, but it's shit I want to get done. So.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing in the days of social isolation lately. Is house projects, music. I started a goddamn podcast. Basically anything that's busy work. It's actually pretty cool.
No, it is cool. It's good. It's good to fill your time instead of just sitting on your ass and watching TV. You do something.
Yeah.
You have something to show for it.
Plus, just watching. I remember in the first week of things really starting to ramp up in the U.S. here with this virus, we were watching a lot of news, and that shit will drive you a little insane, like really drive your anxiety up. So we started to make an effort to just go, all right, let's just get like a small update in the morning and then go about the rest of our day.
Yeah, because you could pull your fucking hair out with all this crazy, stupid shit that it's being thrown at everybody these days, and some of it's disinformation, some of it's real, and it's like people are posting shit just for, stupid reasons. And, some people have agendas and you never know what's fake and what's real. And it's just a constant barrage of bullshit on everybody, Facebook and all that crap. And it's like, it's there to wear you down. Basically, you got to ignore all that bullshit and just do what you're doing. I just try to stay focused on what I'm doing. Fuck what everybody else is doing.
Yeah,
but,
true.
It'll drive you crazy if you watch too much news. It's like it's pointless anymore. It's fucking horrible these days. This country turned into a shithole country.
The goddamn shithole. For some reason, I still can't avoid watching the news, but I like to think of myself kind of like a bullshit detective. I like to watch different angles and read articles from different outlets and then try to put it all together and go, all right, so who's more full of shit here and where are the facts? But that, too, can get very tiring. Well, one of the things I was going to share with you, kind of something that I think is pretty funny. I remember what a surreal experience it was for me to join Pink Lincolns in 2005. I saw you guys when I was a teenager back in like 95 at Stone Lounge. And after that, I was definitely a fan. I remember playing Suck and Bloat until I memorized the songs. And I had learned a bunch on guitar. I also had that split 7-inch of you guys with the Queers where you were covering Suck My Left One live. Right. Just love that. And so it's, me being like fanboy or whatever kind of played in funny to when your previous drummer, Griff, said to me when he dropped my name to you for a possible new drummer, he said you replied, you mean the guy who kept dropping his sticks?
I said that about you?
Yeah. And I
don't remember that.
At the time, I felt like embarrassment and like, oh, Jesus. But, you guys gave me a shot anyway. I came out at that point and showed you I'd improved, but I was still like so intimidated because in my mind I had put you guys on this pedestal.
And then we were dicks.
Yeah, like fucking get it together. And then I saw the workload. It was like learning 30 songs in a couple of weeks, and I got even more intimidated.
You
But
did really good on the tours with us, dude. You did really
thanks,
good.
man. To sum it all up, it was a pleasure and an honor to play with you guys.
How many times did you come out with us?
We went on tour twice, and then we played, some St. Petersburg shows and some Tampa shows. One that really sticks out in memory for me is WMNF Tropical Heatwave 2006. That's
Yeah,
by
that was when we
far,
did I'm a Genius.
yeah, that's the most people I've
Yeah,
ever seen in New World Brewery.
that seemed to be a good show.
Oh yeah, it's great. And on that note, leading into our first tour, I remember this was probably like the third show maybe the fourth that I'd ever played with you guys. Do you remember the Wendy O. Williams incident in Pittsburgh?
No.
There was some like local fanzine writer there, and I want to say it was a woman. I think she asked you like, so there's a legend that you kissed Wendy O. Williams once, and I went, who's that? and, and I seem to recall you like your face like, oh gosh. I think I killed some street cred points that day.
No,
But
I
yeah.
don't think it. Me and Wendy never kissed.
Right, it's one of those like urban legend or rumors.
I guess. Have you ever seen the video of her and the ping pong balls?
No.
Google it.
Okay.
It's really interesting. She is quite a performer.
I was going to ask you if you've seen the Plasmatics video for a song called The Damned.
Where she's in the Cadillac out in the desert
Out in the
and
desert.
blowing up the amplifiers when the car hits it or something like that.
Yeah, like she evokes Tina Turner and Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah, she's cool, man. She always went to the 10th degree. She went to the 11th degree just to make sure with everything, man. She was cool. She had a fire.
Yeah.
She supposedly went through a lot of bad shit previous,
Oh, yeah.
before getting into music. Yeah, so she's probably just trying to get back at the world. That's what I try to do every now and then.
I think, I mean, I can't speak for every artist, but I think there's a lot of musicians who get into making music for kind of
'Cause they're
cathartic
broken.
reasons.
Yeah,
Because, like, especially when you're just poor or working class, like, you don't have access to therapists and shit. So if you're going through stuff and no one else will listen, you're like, I'm going to write a song
right.
about it.
I'm gonna get this out one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah, music's cool, man. Music was a big deal to me when I was young. It was. It just kind of took me away from all the bullshit,
Yeah. Still does.
Yeah, totally, totally. Come home from work, put my headphones on. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, here we go.
Like listening to music in headphones for me was always, there could be an album that I listened to probably 20 times previously. Are you pouring a glass of water?
Yes, I am. I'm not peeing. Yeah, keep talking. I'm taking a big shit. No,
Yeah,
it's.
I hear you.
I'm getting my water with some Neo in it.
But yeah, it was like when I listened through headphones to some albums for the first time, I would always pick up things in production, like little instrumentation that's kind of buried in the mix that I
That
never
wouldn't
heard
really
before,
stand out. Yeah,
and go, wow, it's so cool to hear like an added dimension there, and it built the appreciation.
yeah. Hear it how it's supposed to be.
So the book, I know it's available in all like internet stores to be ordered, but is it also available in digital format? Like,
Yeah, supposedly hardback, soft cover, and ebook and audiobook. but I'm totally unfamiliar with ebook and audiobook. I don't even know what they look like or smell like, you know. So I've heard of them now. I just don't know exactly what they are. Because I asked Tracy, I said, it says here something about audiobook. I don't have to
Yeah.
talk that shit, do I? And she goes, no, they always hire actors for that. It's like, how the fuck do you know all this fucking bullshit? You know, I mean, I'll ask her the stupidest question I could think of, and
Yeah.
she gives me this fucking awesome answer, and it's like, God damn it, I never thought of it like that, you know? Yeah, and even with this book, this Cheap Shots book, and at the very back there's an index, and it has everybody's name in it that's in this book. And I mean, there's a lot of people in this book, so people that they have listed at the end, it's like tiny, tiny, tiny. It's like, God damn, man, they even put that shit in. Yeah, but the index, it just goes on and
Yeah.
on. They have to do a lot of researching for that, because even people that were just happened to be in the photo, their name would be in that too, even though they weren't in the band. If they were just
Oh,
standing by the
wow.
band member,
Even
it's
just,
like they went to the 10th degree, you know, just to get this all like totally perfect.
yeah.
I sent in a couple dates wrong, and they corrected that. I mean, they research
Wow.
everything, you know. Yeah.
I
So
wonder whose job that is and like tracking
when the
down like bystanders.
yeah, I know it's strange. Like, okay, one picture in particular that I'm talking about is agnostic front, and then it's a picture of them standing there trying to look all mean and shit. And then one of them's got his little brother with him, Freddie, and so that was all I put, Freddie,
Yeah.
and and so they fucking no, we can't have that. It's Freddie Citron. You know, it's like, okay, good, that's awesome, you know. But yeah, I wouldn't want to research everybody's fucking
Yeah.
intimacy in this book, because it would take a lifetime, you know.
Yeah, I can only
It's
imagine
insane.
from a show like how many people could be standing in your shot.
Right. But I mean, some of them aren't like that. Some of them are like, I don't know, with that one it kind of freaked me out that they did it with that. But
Yeah.
because he wasn't in the band, but he was mentioned or whatever like that. Doing a book is a lot different than doing an album. Not much different, but it is different.
Yeah, what
Well, if you
if
put a book on a turntable, it would sound like shit.
and if you burned an album it would smell like shit.
Yeah, so you
Um
have to be careful.
so what have you, speaking of, process of writing a book, what have you learned in the process of writing, putting together this book on your own and getting it published? Anything?
Yeah, patience.
Yeah.
It took a long time, but it's fucking worth it. It's beyond anything that I thought it was going to be. I mean, I'm just in awe of it, and it's something that I did, and I'm just standing there looking at it like, holy shit, you know, fuck, this is pretty badass. I mean, just the paper that they used, really nice, high quality, glossy paper and shit, and just, you know, hardcover, and they did some cropping in there, and once I saw that, it's like, what? Oh, okay, you know, that looks awesome. You know, it's perfect. Everything that they did, everything that they put their hands on this book to do is just fucking awesome. I'm extremely grateful for them just being willing to do this and being willing to do the next one. And this is the weird part, because I kept all my good pictures just for that one. I never posted them or anything. You know, all these pictures are like pretty virgin or whatever. A lot of them are.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, if I do another book, I went through all my shit, and it's like, yeah, holy fuck, I do have enough. But I was thinking of the stuff that I didn't use for the first book as dregs or leftovers, right?
Yeah.
And so I start going through them, and I'm like, holy shit, this is actually really good. This one's, holy fuck, I don't remember that, but it's great. And I'm laying all these out, and it's like, holy shit. And I just keep finding different packets and stuff that's on my other old phone and shit like that, and put it all together. And it's like, Jesus Christ, this is good shit, man. I mean, this is possibly going to be better than the first one. I mean, it's going to be
Nice.
as good, if not better than the first one. And that freaks me out, because I mean, I just came upon that realization like a couple months ago when I was going through all my stuff. It's like, fuck, this is all good shit. This isn't just dregs and leftovers, you know?
That's great
And
to
I've,
hear,
I've
man.
done I've done kind of a layout, like just to see how many bands I could squeeze in before it starts, you know, before I can't get any more in at the end, because I want it to be good at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end. I don't want to run out and have to put a bunch of shit at the very end. So I'm going to be working on that for a bit, getting it sequenced correctly and stuff like that. It's a big process. And scanning, I had to do on the first book. I scanned everything at 1200 DPI just to get it really nice, and it would take 25 minutes for each scan.
Jeez.
So scanning, it would, yeah, it was crazy for a long time because I'd wake up in the morning and put a picture on and hit scan. I'd go to work, come home, take the picture off, put another one, hit scan. I'd go in and take a shower, take the dogs out, feed them, go back to the computer every 25 minutes. I'd have to go back every 25 minutes all through the day when I wasn't working. And then it took a long time, but holy shit. I didn't know anything about dots per inch, DPI, and all this shit, but it really matters, man. It makes those pictures just really fucking tight, not hazy.
Yeah.
Like these were taken with a $10 camera, you know, a little Instamatic, just point and click. The pictures are all hazy and kind of foggy and shit, but then you scan them and you look at them, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, what kind of witchcraft is this? You know, it's like, it straightened them out really well. I'm going to go through all that scanning and all that bullshit again, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to take quite a while, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like now you have a process.
Yeah, at least I know what I'm in for, you know. I didn't not know that with the first book, and I got overwhelmed a couple times and almost wanted to walk away from it, but it's cool. I mean, it's like, it's weird. It's like having a little retarded baby or something, and now I'm going to have another little retarded baby. But they're beautiful retarded kids. And that's no offense to anybody that's mentally retarded. I don't mean it harsh like that.
I was going to say, man, it's 2019. We don't use that word anymore.
Well,
you made up for it. I would love them just the same.
Yeah, I said retarded, and then I said I'm sorry. So that's all political correctness, okay?
Right. That's some good topic for another show sometime. Well, we've talked for a good amount of time here, Chris. I wanted to thank you again for coming on my show.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's been a blast. The new book is called Cheap Shots, a photographic look at underground bands from the 1980s and beyond. You can pre-order your copy now to own the book on its June 9th release date. Chris?
And then if you do a pre-order, then you get a print of a photograph that's in the book, and it's signed by me.
You can pre-order on rarebirdlit.com as well as goodreads.com, target.com, and amazon.com. The author is Chris Barrows. Check out his music on Bandcamp, Spotify, and Apple Music, as well as on YouTube. I look forward to seeing you perform again when we can all leave the house.
Yeah, it'll be cool to get out and get some fresh air and go back to the way things were. Yeah, this is really surreal in a not cool way. As long as people learn stuff from it, I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
Well, I do definitely feel like it's a time for introspection, like kind of reevaluating life and going like, well, what is important? Obviously the people I love are important.
And just making adjustments and stuff.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Chris. Again, thanks for coming on, man. You be well, sir.
You too, man. It's always good to talk to you, Jeff.
Yeah, always good, man. Love you, dude.
Love you.
See you later, Chris.
Ciao.
That concludes episode 3 of Into the Foxhole. Again, I'm your host, Jeff Fox. Have a good week. Love your neighbor, but don't get too close. One last thing. On June 6, 2019, we lost Dorsey Martin, the guitarist, original drummer, and other half of the songwriting power of Pink Lincolns. Dorsey was like the other half of the brain of Pink Lincolns, as he brought a balance by having a style that complemented that of Barrows, but was certainly unique in its intention and approach. Dorsey was that sharp intellect that was often overlooked because he was normally a quiet man. Dorsey was that guy that when he did speak, what he said made you laugh for 5 minutes straight. His guitar solos have been likened to audio assault as a term of endearment. They were fast and furious, but also melodic and memorable. Dorsey's songwriting was also clever and poignant as well as complex. A personal favorite memory for me is being part of writing the song I Am a Genius with Pink Lincolns. Here was a song that Dorsey brought in the guitar parts for and said, check out this song I wrote. We started a jam on it, and next thing we knew, Chris had brought in the snide lyrics about a narcissistic genius, and voila, we had an amazingly fun song on our hands, complete with a classic Dorsey Martin rapid fire solo that evolved into an Eastern melody and back to, as Dorsey put it, two birds fighting. I'll post a link for a live performance of I Am a Genius in the comments section. I'm going to play us out with one of my favorite Pink Lincoln's Dorsey Martin tunes called Stupid Me.